What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Pure Evil MMA. You are tuning in for the CES 50 recap show, which went down last night. We have an entire show stacked of fighters who fought last night and were actually at the fight last night. So a quick preview before any of the fighters call in. Each fighter are going to be calling in for about 5 minutes to talk about some of their fights. We got Jose Lugo that's going to be calling in, who won his fight in the second round at 1 minute and 21 seconds. Going up against Michael Taylor now. Jose Lugo, he's moving up to 2-0. He has a very sad story about his daughter that he's going to be sharing with us in just a second here. Also on today's show, we have Fabio Cherant, who, if you guys have been following Pure Evil MMA, you know that he was just on the show not too long ago. We got our first guest calling in right now, who's Jose Lugo calling in. How you doing, Jose? You're on Pure Evil MMA.
I'm doing great. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Man, last night, man, first off, let me say this. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So for everybody out there that isn't familiar, that wasn't at the show last night or wasn't able to catch the fight, man, you were going in there up against Michael Taylor. It was not the co-main event, but the fight right before there. You're moving now to 3-0. You won the fight by rear naked choke in the second round at 1 minute and 21 seconds. But before we talk about any of that, one thing that really stood out about you and your story is your little girl, man. Fighting for your little girl. What's going on with her for people out there that aren't familiar with the disease and what's going on currently right now with your family?
Well, my daughter was born with a birth defect called tracheomalacia. It's basically when your airways is underdeveloped. So she has rigids and it's soft. Her windpipe is soft, so at any time it could collapse, or when she eats stuff, it's easy for her to choke. So yeah, her oxygen levels will drop at night, and yeah, I mean, she would turn purple on us. We would have to give her CPR.
You were saying
I also had it myself.
Yeah.
And I wasn't more on the lucky side of it, and I grew out of it within 8 months. So yeah, she's not so lucky, and she'll be going to surgery July 27th, and hopefully everything goes good.
So when you're going in there and you're getting ready for these fights, is it very emotional for you knowing that you need to go in there, you need to get a win for your daughter to continue this lifestyle that you're living? I mean, the fighter's lifestyle is not one of the easiest lifestyles. It's actually a very selfish sport. So does it make you kind of, more emotional or at least more ambitious, I guess?
Yeah, it definitely makes me both more emotional and more ambitious because, I'm having a race against time, because I have to balance work, my family, and fighting in one. It's really, really hard, And where I'm at the sport, it's not like I can do fighting full time because it doesn't pay my bills. So, it's definitely really hard, and it was definitely a really emotional fight, especially seeing the video right before you walk out, I was trying to keep myself composed and not show my teary eyes and stuff. You got to flip the switch once you get in there.
A big thing that your opponent was saying, and he did take this fight on short notice, but he was saying in some of the interviews before the fight that he was going to try to keep it on the feet. Like I said, he kept it on he took the fight on short notice. Was it a surprise to you that, it was mostly grappling at the beginning, despite what he was saying?
I knew he was going to try to keep it on the feet. But I don't know what happened with his game plan. He ended up switching it halfway through. But he caught me early in the back of the year, and I lost my equilibrium. Like I lost my balance. I almost landed on my face. So I knew I had to shorten the distance up and get right on him, just to grind him out and wear him out, because I knew he wasn't going to be able to keep up with my cardio, and that's what dictated the fight. He was really tired, so I could have done whatever I wanted with him after the second round.
Yeah, a big part of this fight, you guys were doing a lot of scrambles, man. I mean, it looked like you were going for submission, and then there would be a scramble, and then you would get on top and start hammering away like that. When all that was going on, were you just kind of like, oh, man, like, I need this? Like, what was going through your head through all that?
Oh man, yeah, definitely. Yeah, we kept a high pace, and he kept moving. So every time he would give me the opportunity to drop elbows and hurt him, I would take it. Every time he would expose his neck or any body part, I would grab it. So I was just trying to be smart and efficient with my energy, you know. When there was nothing to submit him with, I would just beat the pulp out of him. When he would expose his neck just right for me, I would grab it, you know. So I was just trying to be efficient with my energy and try to get that win as soon as possible.
So now you're moving on. You got 1 KO. You got 2 submissions. What's next for you? I know you want to kind of enjoy your time right now, but you know, and at this level, you guys usually fight 3 times a year, 2, 3, maybe 4 times a year. Well, what's the rest of this year look like for you?
I already fought 3 times in 7 months. So yeah, I'm trying to maybe fight 1 or 2 more times before the year ends.
What events does CES have coming up within the
They have one in August, but I'm taking that one off. So probably the one after that one, which I don't know if it's either September or October.
So Dave Madden, he sent out a tweet during the fight. He said that your opponent threw his mouthpiece out right before the end of that choke. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't notice because I was trying to square for dear life. But I saw the video and yeah, I kind of squeezed it out of his mouth, and he had to get it out so he can breathe a little better.
But how much does that really help, though?
I don't know. I don't think it helps at all.
It was kind of just a last-minute thing. Were you able to catch up with Mike Taylor after the fight?
No, but I guess he went up to my girl and said hi, you know, to my kids. He's a great guy, really nice guy, a family man just like me. But I didn't get to catch him after the fight, no.
So when the fight was going on, before we let you go, I did notice one hand gesture that you did make. I saw you kind of do like the strap signal. Is that something that you're aiming for in the next couple of fights? Hopefully by 2019?
Oh, no. I was just the name, you know, the name on my pants or Salvaje, you know.
Okay. So
people can remember the name, but yeah, I mean, the strap will come when it comes. That's up to the promoters and stuff. When they feel like I'm deserving, then, you know, that's when I go for it. Other than that, you know, I'm just patient and I'll take one fight at a time.
So at the end of the first round, man, I personally scored a 10-8. I was keeping up with the media team, but there was a moment right at the end of that round where it looked like you were about to literally snap it. Like, it almost looked like a twister, like something. What was that at the end of the first round?
Oh, like I said, every time somebody exposes their neck or any body part, I'm going to try to hurt it. So he turned, like he was looking backwards, trying to look at me for some reason while I'm on his back. So I made him pay for that, you know, defend the choke. So I grabbed his neck and I just started cranking on it. I just wanted to hurt him pretty much. When I'm in there, I'm just, my mindset's no mercy. So he gave me his neck and I was just trying to crank it. You know, I didn't think nothing of it, but yeah, I could have fucking killed him with that. Sorry, pardon my language.
Last but not least, what was your thoughts on the main event? Unfortunately, Sweetbread was unable to get the win. It was very sad, very emotional to watch the reaction of the crowd, but we have a new champion, Andre Ewell. What is your a take on that fight, that Bantamweight World Championship?
I mean, it's definitely a shame, you know, for Sweetbread to lose, but, you know, he's a people's champ, you know, people love him. I was rooting for him, but, you know, the other guy took the belt, and the other guy, you know, he was a beast too, so they're both deserving. The other guy just was the better man that night, and he got the belt, you know. Hats off to him.
Hats off to Andre Ewell. Jose Lugo, thank you so much for joining me today on Pure Evil MMA, checking out on the CES 50 recap show, guys. We have so many more fighters coming on, but before we get to that, make sure you are following Jose Lugo on social media. You can follow him on Twitter at ELSALVAJELUGO. Is that the same on Instagram, Jose?
No. Instagram is Jose El Salvaje Lugo 08.
There you go, guys. Thank you so much, and we're looking forward to what the future has in store for you, Jose.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me.
God bless.
God bless you too.
All right, guys, so next we have Chris O'Brien, who, if you're not familiar with, he is the Cage Titans champion. He's going to be calling in right now. He was actually cage side last night at the fights, and it's pretty cool because he's been on the show before. I've interviewed him before. He's really close friends and trains out of the same gym as Joe Giannetti, who's on this season of Ultimate Fighter, season 27, undefeated. So he's going to be calling in right now. Here he is, the champ, Chris O'Brien. Here we go. So Chris O'Brien on the phone, the Bearded Dragon. Thanks for tuning in and calling in to Pure Evil MMA. What's going on, champ?
Nothing much, man. It's good to talk to you. It was good to see you last night for the first time too.
Yeah, I was just telling everybody, man, that you came out. It's huge that you did that, man, because you're the Cage Titan champion right now, the amateur champ, and it's good that you go out and you make an appearance. There was all the media team there last night, big local guys. We even had Matt Bissett, Nick Newell there. What was your take on the event last night, Chris?
Oh, it was an awesome time. I think I was talking to your buddy that you introduced me to from
the MMA holes.
Yeah. Awesome guys. Had a lot of fun talking to them. But yeah, I was telling them too. It's like, it doesn't matter like which show it is. It kind of feels like almost like a family event. Like, maybe some guys you haven't seen since like, the last time you fought, or, maybe last year, you haven't crossed paths in a while. So you see all these guys that you haven't seen and women that you haven't seen from the scene in a while. So it's almost like a family gathering. So it's like that in itself is pretty cool. But the show was awesome, man. I think only 2 fights went to decision, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So a lot of finishes last night. Everybody looked great. I had a lot of friends on the card, so it was a great night.
So as you were just saying, I think that's the biggest point on why I had you on the show, because unlike the other people who are going to be calling in, you were one of the fighters that actually got to sit and enjoy and kind of see what was going on in the scene at the time around us. And like I said, there was people like Matt Bissett, Nick Newell. You were walking around. The media table was there. And if there's something that I want to bring to the table in 2018 as a media partner, is to kind of connect that gap that has been missing for so many years amongst the media and the fighters. I think the reason was a lot of the old school generation media did a lot of bashing on the fighters, and that's not why I'm here. I don't think that's why Nolan's here. I don't think that's why the MMA holes are here. We're all here to we realize that we need to grow each other's brand. It takes two to tango.
Exactly. We should be here for one reason, and it should be for the love of the sport. You know what I mean? If anything good comes out of our love for the sport, new friendships, opportunities and stuff, then that's awesome. And, our success in our fields, but it should be for the love of the sport. And, I kind of agree with you to a certain extent for people around here, like, kind of just wanting to bash people more than build them up. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it sucks to see, especially now on the other side. I was just a fan before, but like being in the cage, it's so tough, man. Like, I feel like some guys that like maybe haven't stepped in there and they voice their opinions and want to bash people. It's like, come on, dude, you haven't stepped in there. Like, you don't know that feeling. You don't know like being in your underwear in front of like 100 of your closest friends and family, like about to get your head kicked in. Like, you know what I mean? So it's awesome to see guys like you and guys like me like wanting to reach out to each other and build each other up than like tear each other down.
And you make a huge point there with talking about the people that are ringside and all the nerves. First off, these poor guys who are cutting all this weight. At the Twin River Casino, when you walk in, you smell KFC and Taco Bell.
Yeah.
That's got to turn your stomach if you're cutting weight and you're all anxious before your fight. You have all the nerves. You have your family there. And another thing, man, like where I was sitting. So where I was sitting on press row, the families for each fight, they'd like circle in and out, like they'd rotate, like whoever was fighting, their family would come up right next to me, and it was so hard to watch their reactions through the fight. And it changes things. It makes it more emotional when you're at a live event and you see that.
Definitely, yeah. And I kind of feel that too, like even just like fighting at Memorial Hall and stuff and Cage Titans, like I kind of feel bad almost when I sell my friends and family tickets. Like, hey, like, yeah, come see me compete. But then it kind of like gets more real getting towards the fight. It's like, man, they paid to like see me get punched in the face. Like, I'm just inviting them to be stressed out and worried. It's like, but it's all good.
That's literally what happens. Like, hey, do you want to feel real stressed out for a night? And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you want to possibly ruin your evening? Yeah, come on out.
but that's like one of the reasons why this sport is so good. Like for the fans out there, once you get an attachment towards a fighter, you know, you feel some towards attachment. They retweet your tweet or whatever it is, something that you like about them. There's nothing like this sport, man. There's baseball, basketball, soccer. I have never been on the edge of my seat the way I am. Right off the bat, it could be the first fight of the night. I'm not like freaking out at the first pitch or the first kick of a soccer game. Fighting brings a whole different element. So the next thing I want to talk to you about, man, is, Matt Bissett was there. You had Nick Newell there. All these guys are getting their big opportunities. What kind of vibe did you pick up, being around some of these, other fighters around there, being at the event? You said it was kind of like a family vibe, but at the same time, you guys are all after the same thing. But at the same time, we're all East Coast family. So what was kind of the vibe? How was your night?
It was awesome as always. I've been to a few CESs now. I think my first one was last year. I forget which one it was, but so I've been to a couple. So I just I feel more comfortable in the setting and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of look at things. I almost look at pro and amateur like two different sports. You know what I mean? Like so much changes. Like your level of dedication has to go up when you go from amateur to pro. You know what I mean? Like obviously the rounds change, the rule set changes. So I almost like I look at them as like completely separate. So like when I see pros, I don't really look like, oh, we're going for the same thing, because we're not technically, because we're not in the same category. But like when I see other amateurs like in my weight class, I'm always real cordial and stuff. And if we ever cross paths, then that's awesome. We'll see who comes out on top. But it's like I said, even if there's a possibility of me fighting someone I see there, it's like, hey man, what's up? Want to grab a beer?
Well, I just mean it in the sense of pretty much like all these guys have what they've been through. Me and you have been watching them fight for years now, and finally, like right when they literally thought they were ready to like hang it up, they were never going to get the call. Lo and behold, they get the call. That's the point I'm trying to make here, is that like we've got to watch a lot of guys blossom here on the East Coast as of late.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, like you said, Matt Bissett, Nick Newell, obviously Lally and Curtis just got a shot in the Contender Series. That's a whole other issue right there. But even my teammates, Manny Bermudez finally getting the call up. Joe being on the Ultimate Fighter. I'm sure there's a bunch of other names I'm not even thinking about right now. The other guys like Font and Qatar. We got a lot of names, and I'm sure there's a lot more laying in wait that are ready for it when they get called too. So yeah, it's amazing to see like so many homegrown guys like getting their opportunities.
So Chris, before we let you go, one last thing. What did you rate last night's card? And starting with that main event, man, I mean, what a heartbreaker that was for Sweep Red, Denise Piva, going up against Andre Uhl. And unfortunately, those first two rounds, what were you feeling in those first two rounds? Because the crowd was going crazy. This was a back and forth fight. Sweetbread got his eye busted up in the second, but I gave him the first and the second rounds. How are you scoring the first and second up until that point? And how are you feeling?
I scored it the same way. So I actually met Dennis the last CES card. We have some mutual friends, so we started talking and stuff. We kind of became friends. So I was definitely pulling for him, man. He's a great dude. Bust his ass. But I had it 2-0 Piva going into the third, and I understand that he was having maybe some more success on the ground. That guy had some really good movement, really fast hands. But I still think Dennis was winning pretty much everything. Going into that third round, and he just got caught. He did everything right to try to get out of it, just couldn't spin out of it, and had to tap. Like you said, it's heartbreaking, but that's the sport, man. You win some, you lose some, but he always shows up, always in great shape, always a smile on his face from what I've seen. So nothing but respect to both of them.
I mean, right after the fight let out, I saw him, and well, before I even say that, right after the fight let out, when they were still inside the cage, you could just feel the energy of the room get sucked out. Everyone was just like it was just a broken scene at that point. The family, all the fans. I mean, I kind of felt bad for the family next to me, but at the same time, in this sport, this shit happens all the time. You got to keep moving. You got to keep pumping forward. But one thing I liked that Sweetbread did, even though he was really upset, he didn't want to hear his opponent get booed. He got on his feet, and he was like, you know what? Don't boo this man, cheer. And he started waving his hands, and I thought that was very respectful on his behalf.
Yeah, like you said, that shows you the kind of person, the kind of guy he is and the kind of competitor he is. I think he literally stood up on the stool and literally got up and was just like, no, like, you got to give it up to this dude. Like, he put it all on the line. I did too. And that's, I kind of feel the same way. Like, I don't, like, I always applaud my opponent, like, when we're getting, like, called into the cage and stuff. Like, this guy took a fight, took time out of his busy schedule and stuff, and put forth his best effort to come here and compete against me. Like, you got to give it up for him. Don't boo him. You know what I mean? Like, we're two dudes doing, what we love to do. And I'm glad that he took that aspect. Like I said, he's just a great dude all around from what I've seen.
What do you think happens next with Sweetbread? Last question.
I think he gets right back on the horse and takes whatever CES gives him.
Last but not least, you're over at Cage Titans. We were talking last night. What were you telling me? You're thinking about August, maybe your next fight?
Yes, sir. So, I'm not. We can't really discuss it yet, but we're working on a little something for August. We're basically just working out some scheduling issues with somebody, and then hopefully we can make this matchup a reality. But it should be a really big matchup for local MMA in New England if we can get it done. So I'll be excited to announce it if we get it done.
That's them South Shore boys, guys. Make sure you guys go follow Chris O'Brien on Twitter at, what is it, Chris OB08?
No, it's Chris OB531, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and then the Bearded Dragon MMA on Facebook.
There you go, guys. Thank you so much, Chris. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for stopping by for the CES 50 recap show. Have a great day.
Thanks, brother. I'll talk to you.
All right, guys, so next we got on Mallory Martin, who unfortunately wasn't able to fight this week. Let me give her a text message really quick. This was unfortunate. Right before the fight was going to be going down, Mallory found news that her opponent was overweight. Not just a little, by a lot. 17 pounds overweight. Unfortunately, she was reluctant. Still want to take the fight, which is very risky. I mean, that's another thing. Like when you're in the situation that Mallory was in, where you're not from 20 minutes away, you drove pretty far to get here, or flew pretty far. It's really disrespectful when a fighter does something like that. So I got to get her take on how she feels. She didn't even stay for the fight. It must have been completely upsetting. Let me get her on the line right now. We're going to be calling her. Boom, boom, boom. Guys, before we call her, make sure you subscribe down below here on iTunes. You can get all the latest MMA news at mymmanews.com, where you can find all the Pure Evil MMA content. Last but not least, some new content, some new merchandise is going to be dropping today as well at teespring.com if you want to support Pure Evil MMA. And by the way, got that evil tattoo healing up for my birthday this week, and I want to thank all of you guys for the birthday wishes. Let's get Mallory Martin on the line right now.
But the person you called has a...
Hey, let's try to give it a call again. Greeley, Colorado, it says. Hopefully I'm calling the right number. You never know.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, Mallory? Thank you for coming on Pure Evil MMA. We are live right now. I was just telling the audience and everybody that's tuning in what your situation was for this fight. It was very heartbreaking. Your opponent coming in overweight, not by a little bit, by a lot. 17 pounds overweight. Before we get into that, how did this fight come into play? Because they had to reach out for you. They were really catering to your opponent for this fight, it seemed.
How did I find out about the fight?
How did this fight come into play? Was it, did Pat Sullivan call you and say, hey, got this fight for you at at
Oh
CES
no,
50?
that was my manager found it for me. I think they contacted my manager and he set it up because after my like right after the win with LFA, when I got done and came out of the locker room, whatever, my manager was like, "Oh, we already got like the next fight. You want it? Like it's yours. I could book it next week." Blah blah blah. And so I was like, "Yeah, of course." You know, coming off a win, I obviously wanted to get right back into it. So yeah, and then I don't know. Do you think they're catering to her? Because I feel like they took good care of me too. So
Well, what I mean by that is when she came in overweight, they were really trying to push the fight. You were too. You're like, I came all this way. I don't want to not have a fight. That, like I'm trying to say, they were trying to get the fight to go through. But 17 pounds overweight. How did you feel about that?
Absolutely not. No, we knew that so I had already made weight at like 11:30. And, like, the promoter or whatever, he was, like, texting me, like, oh, like, they'll be there to pick you up at 3 o'clock. And then he's like, how's your weight? And I'm like, bro, I'm already on weight, like, and so then that's when I was kind of like, something's up, like, mentally I was like, something's up. And so I, like, start getting ready, and it's around, like, 1:30 or whatever, and my coach comes in, he's like, hey, will you come out? We need to talk to you. And so I was like, all right, something's really up. And so I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, so apparently she was 125 at 9 a.m. And I was like, so what's the deal? Like, like, she could make it. I've cut that much weight to get to it, like, the day of, so it's like, what's the deal? Like, what do you mean 9 a.m.? She has plenty of time to cut, So I knew going to weigh-ins that she was going to miss weight, but we are hoping that she would make at least 120. And then on the way to weigh-ins, we got the call from our manager, and he was saying, like, oh, I haven't heard anything, but we're hoping that she, like, cut to 120 at least, so that fight's still on or whatever. And so I get there, and she, like, shows up late, and I'm like, and the doctor is getting cleared by the doctor or whatever, and she gets on the scale, gets off the scale, gets on the scale, gets off the scale 3 different times, like, thinking that the number on the scale is going to change, and, and she's like, oh, well, my scale at home said I was 127. And the promoter's like, well, this scale is right, and it says 133. And my coach is like, your scale at home is wrong. And then he came over and told me, and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Like, that's not even oops, I'm so sorry, like, I had a period, or, like, sure, there wasn't enough time left, or something like that, that is understandable, but, like, that's 18 pounds. Like, you knew, like, 2 weeks ago that you weren't going to make weight, So it's like, why even show up? Like, why embarrass yourself, Like, I just don't understand. I just don't get it.
How did you feel, like, in that moment that you're sharing right now, just at the weigh-ins, watching her step on and off the scale? What was going through your head?
Oh, I was just upset. Like, it was a joke. Like, she played me, kind of like, I don't know. I think, like, my coaches were even saying, like, maybe she, like, obviously she didn't want to fight me because she would have, like, there's no reason to show up, like, that overweight.
I even saw people tweeting that. They're like, hey, man, I wouldn't make weight either if I had to fight Mallory.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't even know, like, maybe she thought because not my last opponent, but my last 2 opponents have missed weight, and I still accepted the fight. So maybe she thought, like, oh, she's still going to accept it either way kind of thing. But, like, being overweight by 18 pounds, like, she didn't even give me a chance to accept it or decline it. Like, there's no way the fight would ever happen over that much weight.
So this kind of reminds me of Mayhem Miller. When Mayhem Miller missed weight by 25 pounds, he takes his shorts off and gets back on the scale as if 25 pounds were going to be taken away within that brief second.
Exactly.
So this is...
Yeah, and when I was there, like, she didn't say a word to me. She wouldn't look me in the eyes. Like, she didn't come up to my coaches. She didn't say nothing. She turned in her ticket money and left.
This is going on a lot, Mallory. This is no surprise to anybody. This is going on even in the highest elite levels of the sport with the UFC. How do you fix this problem? How do you prevent this from happening again?
Honestly, like, I feel like that's just people being unprofessional. Like, I don't know, you can't really, you can't control people, you know, you can't control how their work ethic, you can't control their diet, you know, it's up to them. If they want to work for it, if they want to diet, if they want to do it, then they do it, you know? If you're a professional, you do it. That's your job, you know? So obviously, like, she's not a professional, and there's a lot of people who don't take this seriously, you know, and do miss weight by tons of pounds or whatever. But I feel like you can't really control people and say, like, or I can't really give you an answer on, like, what to do to prevent this, because it's up to the person. Like, I know I will always make weight, and I know I always stick to my diet, and I always train hard, so it's like there's no reason for me not to make weight, you know?
What do you think there should be a more severe punishment? I was looking at what people are saying on Twitter. And
yeah, definitely. I feel like she should get a suspension, you know, like, you costed the promotion money. They flew me out here, paid for my hotel room. You costed me money, like my manager money. I didn't get paid, you know, like, you costed my coaches their, like, time away from their businesses to make money, you know, like, if you look at it, like, she totally just, like, played us all, you know? It's just, like, you could have just simply called or didn't sign the contract to fight me. Like, I just don't understand why you waited, knowing, like, you're not going to make weight by not even a close amount, like, and then to show up and be like, oh, my scale at home says 127.
Yeah, listen,
like,
give the opportunity to somebody else at least that can show up.
Exactly. Like, they could have easily found me another opponent.
Well, I don't get what the point was for her to stick that out. And guys, we're talking about Maria Rivera here, and this, like I said, this has been going on a lot. I saw a really good a tweet saying that this probably should have been counted as a loss due to it being almost 20 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
You know, so what do you do now? Because like you said, you don't get your pay. You got to go back to the gym. You have to motivate yourself again. What did you guys discuss as a team as you were leaving there? Because you didn't even stay for the fights. I even tweeted you. I was like, you know, if you're still there tomorrow, let's catch up. Let's talk. And it just seemed like you just wanted to get out of there.
Yeah, I was left the day after, like, early in the morning. There's just no reason to stay out there, you know, and I was pretty upset, and I'm still, like, pretty much upset and just in disbelief, kind of. Like, I just don't understand, you know, and...
You haven't contacted her at all, Maria?
No.
Said anything to her? Or is there anything you would like her to know? How you feel?
Yeah, like, if you don't want to be a professional, then you can sit on the bench, you know? Like, there's plenty of other people who would have took that fight, you know, and made weight. So it's just, if you don't want to be a professional, you could sit on the bench.
You know, you've been a part of some of the bigger organizations like Invicta LFA. Here you are at CES. Where are you headed to next? Because I saw you had like the LFA takeover not too long ago. You're doing great with the promotion. People are getting to know who you are. I know it's unfortunate you didn't get to fight, but what can fans expect? What can fight fans expect from you? Do you think you're going to be fighting in the next couple of months? What's going on here?
Yeah, well, I wanted to get 6 MMA fights this year, so, I mean, this one, not being able to fight sucks. But hopefully I could get at least 5 or 4 in this year. So hopefully another one soon. But just coming off from those, like, I fought and then fought in April. In May I did a jiu-jitsu pro, and then I was supposed to fight yesterday. So I did 3 weight cuts in, like, a matter of, like, 2 months. So, and just, like, constantly being in camp since March till, like, just now or whatever. So I did get offered a short notice fight for June 30th, but I had to turn it down just because I need to, like, listen to my body. Just being in camp, you know, that long and doing the weight cuts, yeah, I need to take some time to just rest and not be overtrained and get back to 100%, and then hopefully get a fight in like end of July or August, early August.
Well, hopefully you're getting back in there as soon as possible, because it looks like the fans were really upset. There were a lot of people even saying that this was the sleeper fight, the dark horse of the night, and there are a lot of fans looking forward to it.
Yeah, I watched some of the fights, and I'm like, yep, like I would have had fight of the night for sure. It was going to be such a good fight for me. So
before we let you go here, Mallory, what did you think of the fights?
I thought they were really good. They were pretty good matchups, and the main event was really back and forth. I enjoyed watching it. It was sad that the guy got choked out, but he's a good guy. He'll come back.
Yeah, dealing with a loss like that in your hometown, it's a difficult thing. He'll definitely bounce back. Chris O'Brien was just like, he'll get back on his horse. Was that your fight of the night? What did you think deserved fight of the night if you could pick one?
I didn't really watch all of them, but I would say, that one, the main event, would be one of the choices for fight of the night for sure. Mallory,
thank you so much for coming on Pure Evil MMA. We want to thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
And last but not least, where can people find you on social media?
It's Mallory Martin on Twitter and I think Instagram as well, and then Mallory Martin MMA on Facebook.
Thank you so much, and hopefully we'll get to see you fight ASAP.
For sure. Thank you. Have a great one.
God bless. There you guys go, Mallory Martin. And up next, this has been a great show so far, guys. We're at the 40-minute mark here. Pure Evil MMA CES 50 recap show. And before we call our next guest, let me just shoot a huge congratulations out to CES for a successful 50th event last night at the Twin River Casino. Let's get Fabio on the show, who right now, guys, if you did not tune in last night, Fabio Cherant, he has now moved to 2-0. He got the submission in the first round at 3 minutes, 55-second mark against Marcus Allen. And if you guys saw the interview that me and Fabio did together, his opponent is originally a heavyweight. His opponent weighed in 2 pounds under the weigh-in system. It blew me away. And I actually had the chance to sit with Prime Athletic Management, who sponsors Fabio. And I was at the edge of my seat the entire time. That first round, it was a little slow. There was a lot of grappling going on there. The crowd was feeling a little restless. But Fabio getting it done. I want to figure out if that was his game plan or what was that's how he expected it to go, because he's coming off like a 13 second KO at his last event. And like I said, now he's moving on to 2-0 at light heavyweight, and lucked out because the last opponent last person we just talked to, Mallory Martin, with her fight getting taken off, it boosted Fabio Cherant's fight up to the main card. And it was aired free on the Facebook page for CES, on the CES fan page, and also on Access TV. So he got a huge platform to display that win on and get that first round finish. So let's try to get him on. While we're waiting for him to call me, though, I was just talking about what fight of the night was, and, immediately after the prelims, I was like, you know what, this is a pretty solid card so far. I got some of the take on the rest of the guys on Media Row, like Keith from the MMA Takeover and Nolan King, who is actually supposed to join me here tonight and do the recap show with me. Unfortunately, with Father's Day being tomorrow, he took his father out, so, Nolan, you enjoy that, man. You're always working hard, and I'm sure as he's eating tonight, he's gonna be tweeting. He's eating and he's tweeting with. he's always on Twitter, just like some of the other guys in the local scene that's doing big things this day and age. Nolan King, make sure you guys are following him at MMA_Kings on Twitter. Big shout out to Nolan. But like I said, we were talking about the prelims after they wrapped up. Me and Nolan both agreed, and Keith, 7 out of 10. If we're rating it out of 10, 10 being the best. At the prelim point, and here's what we had so far at that prelim point. It was Jorgen De Castro with a TKO finish in round number 3 at the 2 minute and 20 second mark, beating David White, who moves on to 0-3. Jorgen moving to 2-0, making 1 win by submission, 1 win by TKO. That was one of 2 light heavyweight fights. Now, Fabio was the only other light heavyweight fight on this card. He also got the finish. Hillary Rose, the only female fight on this card. She went up against Souza, Souza from American Top Team down in Florida. She came in at 0-2, moves to 0-3 as she takes this loss at strawweight. Hillary Rose moving to 1-1 now, training out of Norfolk, Mass. That was 2 finishes. Third fight, Chris Montino going up against Alfred Jones. Now, this could have been knockout of the night. Third fight in, and I already circled it. He got the TKO at a 1 minute and 58 second point in the very first round. Chris Montano moving to 5-2 with 2 TKO finishes. Mass, homebred from Milford, Massachusetts. The crowd was going crazy at bantamweight. Gets it done inside 1. That was 3 back-to-back-to-back finishes to start off CES 50. Moving forward, we had Brendan Moreau getting the win at 4 minutes and 47 seconds inside round number 1 at featherweight, beating a very tough opponent, Arslan Achev, who trains right here in West Haven, Connecticut, 10 minutes down the road here. Now, here's the thing about Arslan, training out Renzo Gracie's. I believe I saw Nick Newell in his corner as well. Here's the thing. He was a tough wrestler, man. That was a very tough fight. Pushing forward, looking for takedowns. Back and forth, inside 1. It feels like that fight was actually longer than what it was. But pro debut for Arslan, man. Looking forward to what happens next. He does take this loss, but it happens. Inside the sport, it happens. I trust that he's at a great team at West Haven with Renzo and those guys there. Toby Oden getting the W as well, training out Triforce in Milford, Massachusetts. Moving on to 3-2 with 1 KO, 1 submission. Taking this fight by decision, 29-28, 30-27, 30-27. This fight was at welterweight up against Jeremy Puglia, who was making his pro debut as well, training out of Long Island, New York. He takes the L here in his pro debut, but Toby Oden moving though, 3-2, bringing it home to Triforce back in Milford, Mass. Fabio Cherant, who's going to be calling me any second. Hopefully. I think he's actually 10 minutes behind. You know what? Maybe he's trying to contact me on Skype. So let me try to call him on Skype. See what's going on with Fabio. See if he gave me a number here. Yeah, so he's probably going to call me. Oh, wait. I found his cell phone number. Let's give Fabio Cherant a call. Boom. Here we go. Hopefully he'll pick up. Guys, make sure you're subscribed on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Podomatic. You can find all those links on mymmanews.com. What is going on, Fabio? Fresh off your win. We are live right now on Pure Evil MMA, brother. Congratulations on the W.
Thank you very much.
So, I want to get your take on this fight, man. I mean, first off, the way things worked out, perfect. Your opponent comes in underweight, 2 pounds underweight, and me and you were discussing, if that was going to happen or not, and it does. And he exceeds the expectations. What did you think the moment your opponent came in 2 pounds under?
I didn't care. Like I said, if he makes weight, he makes weight. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Either way, the fight was still on. And the fact he made weight just shows he's a true professional and he's serious about what he does,
100%. Yeah, you literally nailed the head. You literally nailed that one right there. There was issues on, every card with fighters making weight. For a guy who was at heavyweight to make it down a weight class and come 2 pounds under, that's awesome. But let's talk about your victory, man. Getting the finish inside the very first round, getting the submission at 3 minutes and 55 seconds. What was that feeling like, man? I was sitting with Prime Athletic. We were going nuts.
What was that?
I said your management was going nuts. He was so nervous. What was your reaction as soon as you sunk in that choke?
as soon as I sunk it in, I knew it was over. I actually looked over at my coaches and made the face like it's over. As soon as I locked it in, I was set. You know, I said, that's my move.
Was there anything that surprised you right off the bat? It seemed like you guys were going in there feeling each other out at first, and then there was a little bit of grappling. Was that trying to, tire him out a little bit because he was taking?
No. So my game plan was to move around and throw, but the floor was so slippery. I could not make any moves without slipping. So I was my game plan went from striking to just let him come to me, tie him up, and go for the submission.
Yeah, you guys are big at that weight class, at light heavyweight. And on top of it, there were a lot of guys that were slipping all over the canvas. We were discussing it on a press row. Those canvases can be very slippery, especially if you make one small slip. If you're an inch off, it could throw the entire fight off. I
actually stubbed my toe a little bit when I shot it. I went in for an overhand, and when I made my initial movement, I just jammed my toe, and that's when I was kind of like, all right, I'm not going to bother doing this anymore. I'm just going to let this guy come to me.
So, Fabio, this makes 2 finishes for you as a professional. You had 1 win by submission going into this fight, and then you pick up another one going out.
Yes, sir.
So, we were talking about it when you came on the show a week out. You said, if it comes to me, then I'll grab it. And it came, man. So what is the reactions that you're seeing from your teammates? What did your coaches have to say about your finish?
My coaches obviously were pumped about it. They knew the same thing. They were actually telling me that, that submission, the submission, it's foolproof, but the way I set it up and the way things I did, we need a fix so it doesn't get stopped.
What did you guys talk about? I mean, going into this, what did you guys talk about going into this fight with? Did you think that this was going to go to a submission?
We have everybody jokes around and calls me the guard bully at the gym. So everybody was predicting that I was going to submit him. It's just when it was going to come. But yeah, it's funny. So. But yeah, so before the fight, me and my coaches, we just went over. The game plan was to strike, like I said, and just stay calm, move around, use my movement. My movement was going to be better than his. If I just stay calm, just move around, and then if it comes time to it, just submit him.
Now, was there any added pressure knowing that this was going to be on? First off, the main card, because Mallory's fight fell off, and we just had Mallory on who cleared that up. But the way that things worked out, you got boosted up to the main card. Did that add a little more pressure, knowing that there were going to be a lot of people watching? You got Pat Miletich commentating.
That was awesome. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. It was a blessing in disguise that how things happen. But I got to debut on live television, like you said, and I couldn't be more honored for that. It didn't change my mindset at all, though. I debuted when my pro debut. I was the first fight of the night. I think I was more nervous for that fight than yesterday's.
So, like I said, I was talking with your management, with Prime Athletic Management, and they were talking about, what's going on with you now that you're 2-0. We talked about some of the beef that you've had in the past with one of your opponents. What do you think you're going to do next? Do you think that?
Right now I have some injuries I gotta get over. But like I said to you before, I'm 23 years old. I'm in no rush to get anywhere. If a fight lands on my lap, I'll take it. But right now, I'm just taking care of what I need to take care of. I knew that I was going to fight either way. I was going to show up and do my thing. I trained through all the injuries I had, I didn't really complain about it too much, and I said once my fight's over, that's when I'll take care of my injury. So what I need to do now.
Fabio, before we let you go, how did you celebrate your win afterwards? Did you go out to the after party? Did you chow down on a giant donut? What'd you do?
Me and a few friends just came back to the house and just had some drinks and just hung out, you know.
Yeah, actually, I was watching that on your Instagram story. Now that you bring it up, after all the training, after all the food that you've got to miss out on, now you get to relax for a couple of days. So I hope that you can enjoy that, man. I had a blast watching your fight. Before we let you go, do you have any shout outs, anything at all that you would like to get out there to the people?
I just shout out to my gyms, you know, Triforce MMA, City Tongue, down in Boston. Crew Mark Delagrati, Crew Loco, Andy Cody, Diamond Dave. All those guys, you know, helped me a lot getting mentally ready for the fight, physically ready. So, I mean, I couldn't be doing what I am doing now without them.
Last but not least, what did you think about that main event? You know, Mark Delagrati, your coach, your teammate. What did you think about that main event?
I thought it was a good fight. It was a good fight, leading to the finish. Both guys showed their stuff, obviously, and it just shows you it's the fight game. Shit happens. I know it's my teammate. I obviously wanted him to win, and I think everybody there wanted him to win. I hope, you know, but the fight game is crazy. Anything can happen.
Yeah, the way that things work out in the fight game, you know, we've been saying, Chris O'Brien was just on, he was like, I'm sure he'll get back on his horse and keep riding through because CES is really trying to build him into a big star. He beat Bam Bam's brother. He's at a great gym. He's got the support in the crowd. But the way that fight was, I think that was fight of the night all around. It definitely lived up to expectations, even though Sweetbread did lose. You know, we wish him well.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming on today's show, Fabio, and I want to congratulate you on your win once again, and we'll talk to you very soon. There you go, Fabio Cherant, guys, who has finally 2-0 now at light heavyweight for CES. Guys, CES also has boxing. If you're into boxing, I believe their next event, let me see, because I got the pamphlet last night, and let me say, like, I've been to a bunch of local events, you know, I don't even want to name promotions with what I'm about to say, but, you know, they did a great job with handing out, you know, flyers, banners. They had, like I said, KFC and Taco Bell inside, which really sucks. If you're the fighter, or, you know, you're irritable, you're cutting weight, you don't want to smell that food. Grade D beef, get out of here with that. That's got to be rough. But for the fans, they were loving it. They also had a silent auction as well where they were giving away merchandise. One merch that I really want, I wish I could have put a bid in on, there was the picture from Goodfellas of the dog, the two dogs and the guy, if you guys know what I'm talking about, when they go to whatchamacallit's mom's house to chop up the body. There's the picture on the wall. They're all sitting there having coffee while the guy's dead body's in the trunk. He's like, yeah, I like this picture. One dog's looking this way, one dog's looking that way, and this guy's sitting here like, what the fuck you want from me? I wanted that picture so bad. And, you know, they had that. They had a bunch of autographed Mickey Mantle, Kobe Bryant. Maybe not those two exact, but they had, you know, big athletes, signatures, sports memorabilia, a good 30, 40 items. So, and I believe that they were donating most of the cash to charities. So, you know, seeing CES do this, putting together their 50th event. I mean, tickets were starting at $40. Very reasonable. $40. 2020, guys. That's reasonable for MMA. Up close and personal, local, watching these guys bloom. There is nothing more exciting than when you see a guy that you've watched fight on the regional scene. Maybe he's from your city. Maybe he's just local. Maybe you know one of his teammates, whatever. If you see a guy fight, and then 2 years later you see him on the big show in the UFC, this happens all the time. I'm seeing this happen a lot. Matt Bissett, Nick Newell, two guys. Justin Sumner, he's been on the show before. He's going to be on week 7 of Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. There is nothing more exciting than seeing these athletes blossom before our eyes. I cannot recommend this anymore to people here on the East Coast. If you're on the West Coast, there are plenty of venues out there that are going on locally. I mean, there's not just the UFC. When people think of MMA, they think of just the UFC. You know, I go to Thanksgiving and I talk to my family about what I do. They go, oh, he does his WWF. He covers his UFC. It makes me so mad. But you know what? They're getting it. They're getting it. As years go on with people like Ronda Rousey, Conor McGregor, they're learning. My mom's at pay-per-view parties by herself. My little sister predicted Mayweather McGregor better than I did. It cracks me up. This is huge. You know, I bring this up all the time. If you've been listening to Pure Evil MMA for a while now, you've heard me say this before. 2018, let's go back 20 years to 1998. You did not see families showing up to MMA events like you do now. Back then, if you're going to represent your local athletes, you're going to see the New Haven Ravens, you're going to see the New Haven Beast, you're going to see the Hartford Whalers. Maybe not Hartford Whalers at the NHL, but you get my point here. This day and age, you're seeing families come out to watch MMA fights. There is no better sport out there. There is no better live sport where you're going to feel that personal, that close, that edge of your seat feeling. And once you get a connection, once you see a fighter, find fighters that you like, and you build that connection, there's nothing like it. I mean, yeah, there's baseball. Like when I was growing up, even like if you guys could see around me here in the studio, even just behind me, right above me here, we got Roger Maris, Mickey Mantle, 1961, big year. But it took a lot to get to that point. Right now, I feel like that era right there that was in baseball when my grandparents were telling me the stories about Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, and Babe Ruth, and all these stories that used to get me excited and made me really fall in love with baseball to start with. This ain't. I'm going to be telling my grandchildren about Conor McGregor, about Nick Newell, who grew up down the road, about Matt Bissett. You know what I'm like? It's just MMA is where it's at. 2018. Jump on board if you're not on board yet. I recommend it, guys. CES having their 50th event. Tickets for so cheap. Upcoming events here, we got Bellator comes around a lot here to the local area, Connecticut. A lion fight is going to be coming back in a couple of weeks as well. We're going to get full coverage for you for that. But guys, other than the main event, my other fight for pick of the night, going to John Duma versus Adam Aquaviva. Aquaviva, man, coming all the way out from Syndicate MMA out in Las Vegas. That's quite the flight, man. And he was a big underdog going in there against Providence, Rhode Island's Triforce own John Duma. Adam Aquaviva getting the TKO round number 3 at the 2-minute and 47 mark, making him get 2 knockouts, 2 submissions, turning him 6-3 now as a professional MMA bantamweight. And I'm looking forward to what's next for a lot of these guys here on this card. You got McCrohan going against Reg Felix, man. Reg Felix getting the TKO round number 2 at the 4-minute and 42-second mark. That was another very exciting fight they put on at CES 50. If I have to rate it out of 10, first, let me tell you, I asked Nolan the same question. This is what we do at the end of our recap shows. Whether it's CES, Lion Fight, Bellator, UFC, we're going to rate it out of 10. 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. Now, I asked Nolan, who was supposed to be on the show, Nolan King, what he rated this. And if you heard where we were at, up at the prelims, momentum was building up until that point. We had all these finishes. There were only 2 decisions on the entire night. Finish after finish. Prelims, we gave 7 out of 10. And it only got better from that moment on. I think CES, if you're looking at CES in a whole, as a fan going out to watch a live event, let me rate it as a live event and as a TV event, because there's 2 different emotions that go in there. If you are at the live event and you're seeing, these people walk around, these guys that you've been seeing on TV, Pat Miletich, You're seeing the guys on Media Row that you're tweeting with. And shout out to people that were coming up taking pictures with us as well on Media Row. I love seeing the love for what we do here on Media. It means a lot. Adds a different vibe. It adds a little more, honestly. The added emotion there, seeing the family. I gave last night event card of the year. 9 out of 10 so far. Best card I've covered all year. CES 50 getting that end of the year in review. We will be bringing this back up. And I'm not just saying that, like, I've been able to digest it. Usually I do the recap shows right after, and I did on the Instagram page. But now that I've had about 24 hours to kind of digest what happened, look back, talk to some of these fighters, good 9 out of 10 on the fight night card as a whole. Now, as a TV deal, and I did not watch it on TV, but if we're looking at it on paper, looking at the results, it's very close to 9 out of 10. I think fans would agree with maybe a 7 or an 8 out of 10. With a regional card, it did great. It fired on all cylinders. It did. It couldn't have done any better. As a regional card, it couldn't have done any better. You couldn't have asked. Only thing I would have made this fight card better if there was something ridiculous that happened that stood out that we'd be like, oh my, what the... You know, you can't ask for that stuff to happen. You can't make that stuff happen. It just does. But with what we had, what we were given, it couldn't have gone any better. I'd give that 10 out of 10. But for TV, the fights on paper, 7 out of 10 on the night. Trying to give, as clear of an answer as I can there without being biased at all. And I'm trying to think, if you're new to the sport and that was your first event to watch, man, you had everything you wanted there. You had the moments where you're at the edge of your seat, where the underdog won, where the guy who was winning at the beginning of the fight ends up losing. You had the drama unfold of the fights that didn't even happen with missing weight. That added some more drama. And this was a great card. I think they did an amazing job for CES, the guys in charge. Big shout out to Pat Sullivan, who puts all of these matches together. Man, I am looking forward to CES 51. And I want to thank all of our guests that joined us today. Jose Lugo, who got the rear naked choke in the second round. Mallory Martin from LFA Invicta CES. Unfortunately, unable to get the fight. Fabio Cherant moving to 2-0, guys. What a night. Chris O'Brien stopping by. Cage Titans champ. Training alongside the one and only Joe Giannetti of Tough 27. Oh, man, what a year it's been. I'm loving it. I'm loving every second. It was my birthday a couple days ago. It's been a great week, guys. Thank you so much for all the birthday wishes. Everyone that's been supporting Pure Evil MMA, make sure you get subscribed down below. I try to keep you guys up to date with the recap last night on mymmanews.com, so make sure you check them out because they get all the latest Pure Evil MMA content, all the links for the podcast, whether it's on Stitcher, Podbean, Podomatic. I'm trying to get it on Spotify, but they got their own issues with their policy update or whatnot. Big shout out to Sweetbread. I know he didn't get the finish. My heart goes out to him, but man, get back on the horse. Get back to it, guys. I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, mymmanews.com. White Knuckles till the end. Behave yourselves. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be getting back into the chat room on the next stream. If you can tell, this is not the original camera. My camera shit out on me tonight. So there were a couple of issues here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be getting... So here on the after show, really quick, guys, I just want to thank everybody that's been supporting me on Pure Evil MMA. And thank you so much, MMA Pixels, Stewie Griffin. Actually, Stewie Griffin, me and MMA Hole Chris were talking about you and Jesse. A big shout out to MMA Holes, though. Last night I was on their show, introduced them to Matt Bissett, introduced them to Chris O'Brien as well, which is awesome. Seeing, making these connections, seeing the fighters and the media connect, and you guys as well. You guys make it a bunch of fun. So big shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for supporting Pure Evil MMA and the MMA Holes, the media team. All of us together as one, we're taking over. Ariel over at ESPN, another door opens. It's our time. Someone's next. Who is it? We need your support, guys. So subscribe down below. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Podomatic. Follow me on Instagram at Pure Evil MMA and on Twitter, Evil_Echo. Have a great night. Wait Knuckles to the end. And Mike, everyone in the Pure Evil Army, thank you so much. Have a great night.